Well, I hope everyone had a chance to view the videos prior, that all these events are not by mistake, and that they give us predictive programming, as they do in all things, showing the event before it happens. So when it happens, you've been conditioned already to accepting the event as to happening, and you can play around with that, but that's all that the news is. That's all that everything is that it's really nothing more than movies. And that's what Esau's doing, is he's making his movies, he's making his films to program you so that by the time that it actually does go out on their mainstream news, which they also control the alternative ones such as RT and Press TV. If you notice, though, the Press TV live coverage kept on fucking going into all these false flag events and conditioning you to accept gun control. Did you not notice that? It said Sandy Hook. Ultimately, it got down to Sandy Hook, which we know that shit's been fucking proved as fake, that was not a real shooting. It brought up the Charleston shooting. It brought up all kinds of shit that was not even fucking real. But they want you to believe it's real. Hello and welcome to End Revelation Times, where the word of Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushai, differs with everything we've been taught. So we've been programmed, They're predictive programming, These are all manufactured events. If you hadn't caught the previous video, I suggest watch that before proceeding with this one, As I have two channels, but both pretty much, if one goes down, the other will become the main channel, which is why I separate those, So, I try to keep my longer length videos on In Revelation Times, and I try to keep my shorter ones on Confusion of Face Reading channel, but at the same time, though, they don't want this information getting out there. Of course, Esau wants to control everything, and has been controlling everything for quite a while, but now he's been exposed. A light has been shined upon this darkness. We've been in darkness for quite some time, been ruled by the global elite, which are the Amalekites that are spoken of in the Bible. As in the days of old as to the days now, that nothing new under the sun. And so, again, they want us to believe that somebody went fucking apeshit and shot a bunch of people up. It kind of reminds me of a George Carlin concert, where back then, and it's kind of interesting because you saw Press TV bringing up all these false flags. Well, why isn't there more lobbying for gun control? When are they going to enforce more gun control? So that these alternative medias are also controlled by Esau, to make you go along with their agenda, and their agenda is gun control. Of course, because, that's how you lock down the mass population, and they want population control. Ultimately, they want to kill us Jakes, but they also want to kill their own, too. They want to depopulate, and, that's why all this manufactured hurricanes, the Geostorm movie that they just put out, which shows you that they fucking create these weather storms, and even they show you on the mainstream news that they have weather machines that can create Category 5 hurricanes. But anybody who ever questions this and all that is labeled either fake news or pretty much been, considered conspiracy theorists. But yet George Carlin said it, though, that, I'm not worried about guns in school. You know what I'm waiting for? Guns in church. And it'll happen, too. Some nut will fucking go apeshit and shoot up a church. So, was George Carlin actually giving us predictive programming? Again, everything is controlled by Esau, the so-called white man. Even though I know he was a Confusion of Face Israelite and he went against the mainstream and all that, he was still being programmed and conditioned. He told y'all that they all have a club and you ain't a part of it, that these bankers, they're the fucking 1%, and so, he knew he was being controlled and all that, but he was letting out because, he just didn't give a fuck anymore. Who really gives a fuck, This ain't no fucking freedom. There's no freedom here. Freedom's an illusion, Reminds me of an album I once had called Foul Taste of Freedom. It's by a group that sounds like Pantera called Propane. And the song, the title cut, which I'll probably include in this video, it's very interesting because the words are, "We are the red, the white, the blue that you see. We have a right to survive and succeed. Worthless and weak is be all you could be. Democracy leaves a foul taste of freedom in me." Well, what's that dealing with? That's dealing with Babylon the Great and all these fucking delicacies that it handles, which is what the Bible talks about. You know, all our delicacies and everything, you know, the things that they spread, you know, that they're supposed to be a free country and they spread democracy. They're bringing democracy to you. If you don't believe in democracy, democracy will come for you. And you show this, shows an airplane with bombs. I know you've seen that picture floating around. You know, all these things which are predictive programming, as I was talking about before. You know, so they let you know their plans ahead of time, you know, letting you know that he does have a special plan for you, and anybody who doesn't go along with their plan, they're simply going to get rid of, especially third world countries that don't want to go along with their plan. They don't want a Rothschild bank in their country, such as Syria. Syria in particularly, you know, is not a part of the cabal. You know, Bashar al-Assad ain't playing their fucking games, you know, and pretty much he's been the target, you know, same with Libya. Muammar Gaddafi wasn't, you know, he had given up his weapons, which was a big mistake. Bashar al-Assad also gave up his recent weapons in 2013 when they did a false flag and blamed Bashar al-Assad, saying that he used sarin gas against his own people, and I did a video a few days ago as well where it shows... you know, the chemtrails, which nobody likes to talk about chemtrails, you know, that they've been poisoning us with gas, with these carbons in the air, you know, to change the weather and to pretty much poison you, which is why you have coughs, you know, kind of like the movie The Stand. You know, all these people died from these germs by this weather warfare that Esau is controlling, you know, from these planes, you know, but nobody wants to talk about that because, of course, you know, these mediocrities are silent because RT and Press TV are also controlled by the Illuminati. You know, yes, I admit that RT and Press TV will give you the truth about what's going on in Syria and Iraq and all them places, and will show that, but then they will collaborate the story, because that's what they said is collaborate. Collaborate. You kept on hearing that. Collaborate their story. We can't put the news until we collaborate the story. In other words, they go along with them. Press TV just told you that in the previous video if you've been paying really close attention. Again, if you had not watched the previous video, I suggest going back and playing that one and then playing this one. It's just my previous video, you know, where it talks about, you know, pretty much how the media is controlling everything, you know. Again, you know, this is all mind control. We've all been conditioned, you know, like every time you hear the name Jesus Christ, you think of a so-called white man. And isn't that funny, though, that the current show, Walking Dead, there's a character named Jesus, and, man, he's telling everybody, peace, love, you know, we don't do things that way, you know, we're not to hurt anybody, that we need freedom, we need to, you know, we need to get back as a quote-unquote tolerable society, right? You know, but that's not Yahweh Shai. So you know that Yahweh Shai and Jesus are really two different people, but, you know, you know, you've been given this image of Cesare Borgia, so the name Jesus Christ comes up, you think of the so-called white man. So you know it's a different God completely, you know. So, again, that's predictive programming as well. You know, that they've been using mind control techniques for a long time. Religion's a big time push for it, you know. Because, of course, you know, the hell doctrine in particular, that if you don't go along with it, you're going to go to hell. You're going to go to this place of eternal torment and suffering, which is really scriptures referring to the lake of fire, which is when the so-called alien invasion, that's what they like to call it, alien invasion, UFO invasion, when the chariots come and Esau also destroys itself with World War III thermonuclear nukes. You know, when this whole place is burned to the ground. So, you know, like everything else, though, man, it's time that we pay attention to what's going on and not be hoodwinked. Don't be hoodwinked into believing that all these events are true. Because quite simply pushed, you're in a movie. This whole thing's a movie. Don't you get it? Don't you get it that Esau likes to be the all-seeing eye, likes to control everything? 1984, a society we live in, totalitarian society. Peace is war, war is peace. The propaganda for more and more war, that they need more gun control, and that, we got to win the war on terrorism, the war on terror, all this pushes. But nothing happens by mistake. These things have been pre-planned. They're manufactured events. And we'll see more and more predictive programming. It's in the music. It's in the movies. It's, kind of like the song by Pink Floyd, all that you touch and all that you see, all that you taste, all that you feel, and all that you love and all that you hate, all you distrust and all that you save, all that you give, all that you deal, and all that you buy, beg, borrow, or steal, and all you create and all you destroy. And the sun is in tune when the sun is eclipsed by the moon. They're controlling everything, ultimately, because they want to put their chip inside of you. They want you to embrace their mark. You'll have some bigger celebrities than Brooke Shields promoting you to take that chip, to take the chip that this has got all your solutions here, If you get the chip, they can find you in case of an emergency, because they're manufacturing these emergencies, Again, all the delicacies of Babylon the Great, this so-called democracy, it is a foul taste of freedom. Because you're not really free. Freedom's not free. They throw that shit all the time. So you'll go and support the terrorists, which are the Edomites, so you'll support the Marines, and, we back the blue. We, all these things we're conditioned to do, we got to support our troops. Why? They're going out there and terrorizing other countries that want to be free from the totalitarianism, that want to be independent, and don't want to be a part of the cabal. So, man, just don't be eclipsed by this. Don't believe anything you see. Question everything, and by all means, if you're receiving this, and this all makes sense to you, and everything they're doing, you see that it's a lie and all that, you're most likely an Israelite. I'm going to say you're an Israelite. If this truth resides in you, then you're an Israelite. No matter what you look like. Don't let anybody else tell you that, you have to be black, or that you have to be this or that. No, man. We're confusion of faces because of the fact that we don't look like the average Jake. And what does the average Jake look like? We've been scattered to all the nations, so we don't even look like ourselves anymore. We don't look anything like what we used to look like. We've been scattered to all the nations, but now we're coming out. And we're speaking up against Esau. We're prophesying against him. Because the Son of Man, Yahweh Shai, is about to make his return. So I want to give all honors and praise to Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who are teaching this truth and sincerity. And a shout out to the Akim out there like myself. They're spending time daily to find out who they are and find out what's going on, and are seeking the truth. Because, the truth shall find you. Seek me and you shall find. We're seeking the real one, Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. Not falling for those false images, those false idols anymore. We're coming out of Babylon the Great, and everything that they think and they program us to believe, well, we question more. Why? Because of the fact that we are no longer dead. We have come back to the realization of who we are, and especially the elect. The first fruits are the ones that are coming into this truth now. So I just want to say shalom to everyone that's coming into this truth. We're almost done.
rubber checks, no void. Wheels are red when the middle that you lead. Wheels are right to survive and succeed. Us and we is the all you can need. Till I see somehow taste the freedom in me. Once you cross the tax heights, cross the land. I'm glad to see the weak die by your hand. If you're proud of your country, then you're probably rich. But if you're bad, if you're bad, I'm pissed. Moaning bitch. Yankees don't get laid when you're down. Apple pie Chevrolet, shut it down. A patriotic bad-headed, stop the freak. It's bound to serve the country then, serve them weak. Wheels are red when